I'm Logan Crawford, and right now on the Spotlight Network, we delve into the heartfelt and imaginative world of A Dog's Last Wish. It's written by a terrific author. His name is Claude Filion. This touching novel explores the profound bond between a man and his dogs as they embark on an extraordinary journey filled with memories, loss, and a final wish that will tug at your heartstrings. If you've ever wished that your pets could talk, this is a book, this is a story, this is a conversation you won't want to miss. We're delighted to have this very talented author join us here today on Spotlight. We thank the team at Atticus Publishing for helping us put him in the spotlight today, and we ask viewers like you to support authors like him by subscribing to our channel and by purchasing his beautiful book. The links are below this interview. Claude, great to see you here today on Spotlight.
Thank you for having me.
Bond between a human and a dog can be so great. I just about 2 years ago lost my favorite dog. You have dogs throughout your life from the time you were a child to the time you're adult. I had this one little tiny black terrier named Shadow, and I was crazy about him. And he only lived to be about 10, which is short for a terrier. And I remember him dying and burying him, and it broke my heart. I haven't written a book about him though, but I could. You have written a book about your love of dogs and special dogs and dogs that are special to you. Tell us a little bit about your inspiration for writing A Dog's Last Wish.
Well, there were two things really. One of them had to do with our relationship with dogs. Dogs are our best friends.
Mhm.
We do so many things together. We hike in the woods, we walk on the streets, we swim in the lakes. We're together so much, and yet we're isolated from each other because we can hardly communicate with each other. And
Mm.
so I thought, what would it be like if suddenly the dogs and I could speak to each other and understand each other? What would we talk about? And wouldn't it be nice? How enriched would our life be? And the other reason I wanted to discuss that is that our dogs, uh, their life is so short.
Mm.
We naturally want to extend it as much as possible.
Yeah.
But at some point, extending their lives is just extending their miseries.
Yeah.
At what point do we put them to sleep? What are the signals? And unfortunately, dogs are stoic creatures and they don't tell us, they hide their pain.
Yeah.
And I tried to imagine a setting in which I could talk to my dogs, reassure my dog that they could indeed tell me how they felt and what the care they wanted to get and when was the time to let go. And since we could speak to each other, well, on that occasion,
Mm.
my dog does communicate instructions to me.
Mm. Beautiful. It's a beautiful sentiment, and it is heartbreaking. Was this inspired? I know it was inspired by dogs in general and the love of dogs, but was this inspired by a particular dog that you lost?
Well, yes, Tommy. And the book depicts or discusses adventures I have with two dogs. One, Tommy, who was the old and aging dog, and the other, Bobby, who at the time was a puppy.
Mm.
And we have a discussion about all, but it was really uh, Tommy is the main character, the older dog.
Yeah, yeah. Dogs can teach us so much. I have a 15-year-old Jack Russell Terrier right now, and he's really on his last legs, but he's such a trooper. He still keeps his posture erect, and he still, has that little feisty terrier side of him from time. And he's got a hacking cough the other part of the time. And but they teach us about living. They teach us about dying. Don't you think that's part of a dog's life and a part of their mission?
Yes, and part of the lessons they teach us, they age gracefully.
They do.
Um, and it's so hard because we do have the power of life and death over them. When we adopt one, we have to expect to put it down at some point,
Yeah.
and it's very hard.
Yeah. And it's hard watching them go from being this playful puppy at 1 and 2 years old to an old man at 10. It's just like their life is accelerated, and it seems unfair at times. Such a beautiful story you've written. Have you pictured this as a movie? Because I certainly could envision it as a film.
Well, I certainly do think it could be a part of a movie because it's very much autobiographical, but it's not described in chronological order. All the events are described by category. So what are we going to talk about, the dogs and I? Well, we'll talk about swimming together, walking together, fighting once in a while, not with each other, but with third parties. And I describe the events according to these categories. And the whole setting is within a story which takes place in my distant past on the eve of a family tragedy. So we find ourselves in my boyhood community on the same day that a family tragedy will occur. And so we have a chance to avoid the tragedy. And the question is, are we successful? So there is a story there to tell, and I certainly hope that someone would find it interesting to depict in a movie.
Yeah, I think that'd be wonderful. It's also so amazing how dogs can sense when you're upset, when there is a tragedy, when you are sad. I mean, they just conduct themselves exactly as you would want them to, that they're very loving, they're very nurturing towards you at that time. They really are a gift from God, dogs. Do you have a favorite breed, or do you like all dogs? Do you like mutts? Do you like pedigrees? Tell us a little bit about
I like
your
all dogs,
family.
but I have a special fondness for
Yeah.
Labradors, and those are the dogs that I've adopted.
Yeah.
Three of them: Tommy, Bobby, and a younger one now, Daisy.
Amazing. You're a smarter man than I am because you chose a breed that's gentle and obedient and quiet. I chose the maniac dogs to fall in love with, the Jack Russell Terriers, but they're also gorgeous. And of course, I love them. And that's what happens. A dog comes into your life, and no matter how barky or how jumpy they might be, they become your whole life. And I think Labradors have a kind of like a human quality about them, that they're so understanding. I mean, dogs really try hard with the tilts of the head to understand what you're trying to say to them. But I do think with Labradors, perhaps it's because they spend so much time with people, that they do seem to communicate very, very well.
Yes, that's true. That's
Yeah.
true. I have a dog. The younger one spends every day at the kennel, daycare kennel, and there are many dogs there, and not all of them get along well. But she's considered a training dog, meaning that the kennel can put her with any dog, even difficult ones, and
Yeah.
they'll enjoy themselves. So
Yeah.
that is, I think, a particular trait of the Labradors, just
Yeah.
being able to get along. My first dog was like that too.
Yeah, which is why they're often used as sight dogs, used by police departments, used by a bunch of different people. They're therapy dogs. They're beautiful. Are most of your labs golden labs, brown labs, black labs?
I have two. The first and the third are yellow labs, and the second is a chocolate lab.
Wonderful, wonderful. What do you hope readers take away from your book?
Well, first of all, I hope they enjoy the stories, because dog owners always want to share their deeds and misdeeds of their dogs with other owners, and so they should. I hope they get a lot of enjoyment just from reading the stories. And the other was just um, having a discussion about two main issues. The first one being, how enriched would our life be? Imagine a world in which our dogs could effectively speak to each other. And although they're already our best friends, how enriched would that relationship be if we could if we could fully converse with each other? And The other one is having a discussion about end of life instructions. It's something that we all go through, we all struggle with, and just sharing those thoughts and the fantasies of being able to speak with other dog owners. I think is it's just sharing with them.
Yeah. Yeah, I think it's a beautiful thought. It's a beautiful idea and a wonderful premise for a book. And you executed it so well. Indeed. Do you have a favorite scene in the book that you find touching, memorable, funny, whatever it might be?
Well, there are many. There's the scene where Bobby, my second dog, um, uh, goes walking with a dog walker, and the dog walker has many dogs under her control. and they go to a public park and they play with each other and they have this grand time. And all of a sudden, Bobby leaves the pack, finds a mud puddle, and has a good swim inside the mud puddle. Now, once the other dogs see it, they all do the same thing. Well, of course, the dog walker has no
Patience for it.
well, that, and has no cloth to clean them with.
Oh,
And
okay.
so she returns all the dogs still drenched in mud. And of course, when they get in their respective residences, they cause all sorts of havoc. And I get a call that evening from the dog walker firing Bobby after 2 walks. That was something that was memorable. The other one had to do with Tommy. I remember very well, he had a very strong protective instinct. And one day he and I were walking along the street. He was just a pup at the time. He wasn't even a year old. And we were attacked, or I was attacked by a large poodle. And I knew the poodle was coming after me. I knew the poodle was not going after Tommy because Tommy was on the other side. And I was between the poodle and Tommy. And this poodle charged me. And I raised my arm to protect myself, and I'd forgotten about Tommy completely. And just at that time, I see a cruise missile from the corner of my eye just charge into the poodle and knocking that poodle out. Bobby was half his weight, but he didn't ask, "Am I going to be able to win this fight?" He didn't. It just charged, and the poodle lost its breath, yelped, ran back to its master. And although Tommy was quite shaken, he did protect me completely. And even though he was just a pup, and that was something that struck me. And there's so many other events that occurred about their bravery. And one of them being Bobby and protecting me from hoodlums on a bridge. Because I was afraid these hoodlums were going to throw me over the bridge, but Bobby was there to chase them away. And so all of these events are described. As I said, it's autobiographical, and all the events are true, but it's not really a memoir because the events are not described in chronological order. But I think when people read the book, they will see, you know what, they'll identify because I'm sure they will have experienced similar events.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, the courage of dogs, the loyalty of dogs, it's always fully on display, as well as the playfulness to get into that mud puddle and make a complete mess. There, your dog sounded like a Jack Russell Terrier, because that's what my dogs do all the time. In addition to wrapping their leashes around my neck, my legs, and trying to make me trip. Wonderful book you've written here. It's called The Dog's Last Wish. It is a touching novel that's semi-autobiographical that explores a profound bond between a man and his dogs as they embark on an extraordinary journey filled with memories, love, and a final wish that'll just tug at your heartstrings. It's a beautiful book, highly recommended. If you're a dog lover, you must own this. If you're thinking about being a dog owner, you'll want to read this. And if you're a cat person, read this book. You'll want to add a dog to your menagerie as well. Claude, thank you so much for joining me here today on Spotlight.
It was a pleasure. Thanks for having me.
Great having you on the show. I appreciate your insight. To the folks at home, I'm Logan Crawford, thanking you for your time this time. Until next time on Spotlight.